Millions of Americans have a serious problem with alcohol, but only a fraction of them ever reach out for help. April is National Alcohol Awareness Month, and Gateway Foundation's Dr. Teresa Garate shared signs of someone who might need help.
It's very important for people to understand that alcohol use disorder is killing more people than opioid use disorder. I think a lot of times we're so focused on the overdoses, which are very important. We cannot forget that. But alcohol use disorder has been killing people for a lot longer than opioids has. And during this month, it's important to bring awareness to that.
And we should note, really, the term is now alcohol use disorder instead of being alcoholics. Explain a little bit more why.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of stigma related already to mental health issues and addiction or substance use disorders. And so our language is powerful. The language we use really sets the tone. So I had breast cancer, you don't call me cancer, you call me a person who survived breast cancer. So when we talk about people with an alcohol use disorder, we say a person living in long-term recovery from an alcohol use disorder or somebody who has a disorder. The label doesn't identify the individual, should not identify the individual.
And it really does span a gamut, because you talk about alcohol use disorder, people may not realize they have it because of their way they're using it. It might not be that you're a fall down, someone who's fall down drunk every day, but you could still have a problem. Can you kind of explain some of the stages or symptoms?
Sure. Like any health condition, there's mild, moderate, severe.
Right.
I think during the pandemic, there were a lot more people that started using alcohol. Alcohol is very socially accepted. We had all these virtual happy hours. We saw the sale of alcohol increase by 35% during the pandemic. Over 70% of the people that have a substance use disorder have an alcohol use disorder. So I think part of it is understanding and being aware of how much you're using, and if you're using for a reason, so stress or trying to cope with something or escaping a feeling, trying to alleviate some other issue that's happening, I think that's a good indication of maybe there's a problem. And to your point, you don't have to be falling down drunk, but if you're drinking every day, thinking about how many drinks you're having, if you're going from one drink to another, those are all signs that could be indicative of that.
I know there's been conversations, even amongst my girlfriends, like, oh man, I had wine 3 days last week, I need to cut back. Are those the people who need to be worried, or is that the start of being worried, or where does it really start and end, I guess?
It depends, but I think if anyone is asking themselves, do they have a problem? It doesn't hurt to have an assessment, to do an intake, call somebody like Gateway and do a quick, questions, and just kind of be very self-aware of your own needs and how you're feeling. And I think key is understanding that there's no shame, and that if you are using more because you're stressed and doing things, finding other better, more healthy ways to cope, and then kind of, doing an assessment, just like you would for any other health condition.
I think people also get afraid of reaching out because they're like, well, I don't have the time or the money for an inpatient detox or to see someone, but there are really varying levels of help.
There are, and at Gateway we offer everything from a virtual intake assessment to actual virtual outpatient. So you could see somebody from your home, just through our virtual programming. If it is decided or determined that you have a greater need, then we would recommend detox or residential, but it's all based on the person's need, just like any kind of health condition.
What can we do to erase the stigma of this? Because again, it is a condition that people need to get help for and lose that label.
Yeah, the number one way to end stigma is really talking about it. Gateway does a great job of that. Other organizations like Kennedy Forum Illinois and the National Kennedy Forum, who really talk about the importance of telling your stories and sharing your stories of survival and then also struggle, so that we understand that addiction, any type of addiction, a substance use, a process addiction, alcohol use disorder, they're all really diseases of the brain, and they are chronic diseases. So they're going to be with you for the long term. And we don't yell at grandma who has diabetes for eating too much cake, but we might, really punish somebody who relapses from an alcohol use disorder just because they're going through a stressful time. And we saw a lot of that during the pandemic as well.
I would also imagine telling stories about being able to lead a normal life post getting help.
Absolutely. There's great stories about people living in long-term recovery all over the place, and you can really see, kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, especially when you feel like there's desperation and there's no help. Seeing those role models and seeing people that are living healthy, productive lives really helps people, A, get treatment, but also see hope, which is, I think, the number one key to being successful in your recovery, is having hope.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, you can reach out to Gateway Foundation. The information right there on your screen.